Is it possible for science to fight against magical powers? This movie tells the story of Dave Stutler, an ordinary-looking, nerdy young man who turns out to be a potential powerful sorcerer. His task is to defeat the cruel sorcerer, Maxim Horvath, and his followers. However, before that, he must learn all the magical arts to earn the title of the world's strongest sorcerer. Attention, this video contains spoilers. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. And remember to subscribe. Enjoy watching. Thousands of years ago, in 740 AD, there was a war between sorcerers. At that time, the fate of humanity was in the hands of Merlin, a just and powerful wizard. He had 3 trusted disciples, Balthazar, Veronica, and Horvath. However, Horvath betrayed Merlin and helped Morgana Le Fay, Merlin's strongest enemy. Morgana, a sorceress who wanted to rule the world, nearly succeeded, but Merlin managed to incapacitate her. At that moment, Horvath helped Morgana, allowing her to incapacitate Merlin. In a critical moment, Balthazar and Veronica intervened against Morgana. Balthazar was defeated, and Veronica sacrificed herself by absorbing Morgana's soul into her own body. There was no other way for Balthazar but to imprison them both in a magical Matryoshka doll-shaped prison. Balthazar also managed to imprison Horvath in the outer layer of this prison. Merlin, dying, gave his ring to Balthazar. This ring would guide Balthazar to a child who could destroy Morgana and become Merlin's successor. Balthazar then spent years searching for this child, but had not found them yet. The scene shifts to the year 2004 in New York, where a boy named Dave Stutler is woken up by his beloved dog. On that day, he goes on a school field trip. Dave likes Becky, his classmate, and sends her a letter asking if she considers Dave a friend or boyfriend. Becky replies, but the letter is blown away by the wind, and Dave chases it to an antique shop called Arcana Cabana. In the shop, Dave almost drops an ancient Han Dynasty urn, which can imprison a soul for 10 years. Balthazar, who appears ageless thanks to Merlin's youth spell, shows a dragon ring to Dave. The ring fits itself onto Dave's finger, indicating that he is Merlin's successor whom Balthazar has been searching for. Balthazar takes Dave to learn magic, but Dave accidentally frees Horvath from prison. When Horvath tries to kill Dave, Balthazar arrives to save him. A fierce battle ensues between Balthazar and Horvath. Dave manages to escape with a magic book, which contains the trapped souls of Morgana and Veronica. In that incident, a Han Dynasty urn falls and opens, sucking in and trapping Balthazar and Horvath. Dave, shocked to see his teacher trapped, then throws the magic book onto the street. At that moment, Dave is laughed at for appearing to wet his pants. Time passes, and 10 years later, Dave is 20 years old and a physics student at New York University. He lives in an apartment with his friend, Bennett. At college, Dave reunites with Becky, a girl he has liked since childhood. They had been separated due to changing schools. When Dave takes her home, Becky, who works at a radio station, finds that their antenna is damaged. Becky gets Dave's help to fix the broken antenna. Fortunately, Dave, who is a physics enthusiast, manages to repair it. Dave also has an illegal lab in a tunnel. Elsewhere, Horvath escapes from the Han Dynasty urn, which has been bought by an elderly couple. He throws the urn so that Balthazar, who is still inside, might die. Luckily, Balthazar escapes before the urn shatters. Then, Horvath visits Dave's apartment to find out where the Grimhold, taken 10 years ago, is. However, Dave says he doesn't know because he threw it away. Horvath then tries to kill Dave, but Dave escapes. So, Horvath uses his magic to bring a wolf out of a picture to chase Dave. Just as the wolf is about to attack, luckily, Balthazar arrives to save him. Balthazar then tries to explain to Dave that he is the prime Merlinian, destined to save the world. And inside the Grimhold that Horvath seeks is the evil sorceress Morgana, who wants to rule the world. Balthazar then tracks down and searches for the Grimhold. Meanwhile, Horvath uses a vision to see events in front of Arcana Cabana 10 years ago and learns that the Grimhold was taken by a woman. After finding this out, Horvath quickly goes to Chinatown, where the woman took the Grimhold. It turns out, Balthazar has also arrived there. Horvath, in disguise, is recognized by Balthazar, but Horvath has already freed Sunlock, who had been trapped in the Grimhold for 200 years. Sunlock tries to kill Balthazar and chases Dave with his created dragon monster. In a desperate situation, Balthazar teaches Dave how to do magic with a ring. Dave manages to incapacitate Sunlock, and Balthazar successfully retrieves the Grimhold from Horvath's grasp. Feeling successful, Balthazar asks Dave to return the ring so Dave can live a normal life like others, but Dave refuses to return it and wants to learn more magic. Eventually, they find a safe place from Horvath's reach, in Dave's laboratory. There, Balthazar hides the Grimhold and starts teaching Dave the basics of magic. However, Dave still finds it difficult to learn. Meanwhile, Horvath continues to search for the Grimhold, which still imprisons Morgana. He finds a famous magician named Drake Stone, a disciple of Morgana, who misuses his magic for money. Drake Stone also has a ring that Horvath desires to resurrect Morgana. Horvath plans to make Drake Stone his minion to help him seize the Grimhold from Balthazar. In his laboratory, Dave struggles to learn magic to become the Prime Merlian. While they are training, Dave sees his dream girl, Becky, walking alone. He explains to Balthazar that he wants to use this opportunity to win her love. Balthazar allows it. Dave also overpowers a robber trying to steal Becky's beloved possession. However, Becky gets upset because she senses something different about Dave, especially since he subdued the robber. Elsewhere, Horvath plans to resurrect Morgana using the city's radio antennas, including the one at Becky's workplace. Meanwhile, in the laboratory, Balthazar continues training to increase Dave's power. Before they can start, Becky comes to the lab to see Dave. Reluctantly, Balthazar gives Dave a chance to be alone with Becky. Balthazar then returns to the Archana store, which turns out to be a cell phone shop. There, he hides a piece of jewelry he had not yet given to his lover, Veronica, who is also trapped in the Grimhold with Morgana. Back in the laboratory, Dave shows Becky his research, which includes a beam that emits plasma and creates musical tunes. It turns out the music is Becky's favorite. Finally, Becky realizes that Dave has been listening to her radio broadcasts. The next day, in the campus restroom, Dave is approached by Drake Stone. Drake calls him Prime Merlian and provokes Dave to unleash his power. But Horvath arrives and forces Dave to reveal the Grimhold's location. Dave refuses, and Horvath tries to poison his mind by saying that Balthazar actually wants the Grimhold to save his imprisoned lover. Just as Horvath is about to kill Dave, Balthazar arrives and saves him. They fight. Balthazar creates a Hungarian mirror trap, but struggles with it. Luckily, Drake Stone's unleashed power hits Horvath, throwing him into the mirror. Balthazar subdues Drake Stone and takes Dave away from there. After escaping, Dave asks Balthazar about Drake Stone's remark, calling him the Prime Merlinian, and who really is inside the Grimhold. Finally, Balthazar reveals to Dave that inside the Grimhold is a cruel sorceress named Morgana, who is preparing a resurrection ritual to enslave humanity. He also explains that Dave is the Prime Merlian because he is the only one who can use Merlin's ring to destroy Morgana. However, Dave doubts whether he really is the Prime Merlian. Meanwhile, Horvath escapes from the Hungarian mirror trap and goes to the campus to find out about Dave through his records. Horvath eventually discovers that Dave has an illegal laboratory. In the laboratory, Dave continues his training with Balthazar. Balthazar explains that Dave can actually kill Morgana when he no longer needs the ring to release his own power. However, before the training starts, Dave realizes that Becky will come to the laboratory in 10 minutes, making Balthazar angry and leaving. Dave sees this as the opportunity he has been waiting for over 10 years to date Becky. However, there's a problem because his laboratory is very dirty, so he uses his powers to command cleaning tools to clean his place. But he doesn't know how to stop them, making the situation even messier. Dave is also confused about how to send Becky away, who has already arrived there. Luckily, Balthazar stops the chaos and reminds Dave not to play with his powers. Finally, Dave gives up on becoming the Prime Merlinian and leaves Balthazar, walking alone. At that time, Becky sees him and approaches him. Dave thinks Becky will be angry, but she isn't. In the laboratory, Balthazar is visited by Drake Stone, who is disguised as Dave. When Balthazar realizes it's not Dave, Drake Stone attacks him, but Balthazar manages to hold him in an iron circle. Horvath arrives and successfully finds the Grimhold. He doesn't kill Balthazar so Balthazar can witness how he awakens Morgana and sees the destruction of the world. However, Balthazar manages to free himself from his iron bindings and attacks Horvath. At that moment, Drake manages to paralyze Balthazar. When Horvath is about to kill Balthazar with a knife, Dave suddenly comes and stops the knife. Balthazar is saved. Horvath and Drake escape by car, chased by Balthazar and Dave. A chase ensues, but Horvath manages to escape from Balthazar's pursuit due to his cunning. He changes the appearance of a woman to look like Balthazar's lover, Veronica, which distracts Balthazar. Dave questions whether the woman is really Veronica, Merlin's third student. Balthazar tells about Veronica's sacrifice, sacrificing her soul to save him. He also shares that both he and Horvath were in love with Veronica. Hearing this story, Dave is reinvigorated to kill Morgana and save Veronica. Balthazar is happy to see Dave finally finding his spirit again. Elsewhere, Horvath, who is at Drake's residence, plans the resurrection of Morgana. Horvath states he needs great power to awaken Morgana. It turns out, Horvath plans to use the parasite spell, which steals other witches' energy. He then kills Drake, taking his energy and ring. He also releases a witch from the Grimhold layers before reaching Morgana's prison. The witch turns out to be a child, tasked by Horvath to kidnap Dave's girlfriend, Becky. He succeeds and hands Becky over to Horvath. However, Horvath kills the witch and takes his necklace. Unfortunately, Horvath feels his power is incomplete without Merlin's ring. Balthazar and Dave then visit Drake Stone's residence, but Balthazar gets trapped in a suction carpet and can't move. Dave alone manages to obtain the Grimhold. Horvath arrives and threatens to kill Becky if Dave doesn't hand over the ring and Grimhold. Reluctantly, Dave gives him up. Horvath then releases Becky, and now his power is complete, ready to awaken Morgana. Balthazar, escaping the trap, understands Dave's decision to hand over the ring and Grimhold to Horvath. Balthazar heads alone to Battery Park, where Morgana will be resurrected. Meanwhile, Dave is forbidden by Balthazar to come along as he no longer has magical powers after his ring was taken by Horvath. Becky, who now knows Dave is a wizard, intends to help Dave stop Morgana's ritual in Battery Park. Dave contacts his friend, Bennett, to bring his homemade device. Dave realizes that his invention can stop the power of Horvath's staff. In the lab, Bennett gives him a necklace, which turns out to be left by Balthazar. Balthazar hopes Dave will give it to Veronica. Dave understands that Balthazar plans to sacrifice himself for Veronica. In Battery Park, Horvath begins his plan to release Morgana, who is still inside Veronica's body. Morgana starts her ritual using the antenna signal on the building. She tries to awaken all her followers by creating a ring of fire. If the ring of fire is complete, all her followers will fully rise. Dave and Becky head to Battery Park. Dave sees Horvath using the antenna signal for Morgana's ritual. He instructs Becky to climb the radio building, shift the antenna direction, and disrupt its signal. Before leaving, Dave asks Becky for an answer to a question he asked 10 years ago, but Becky doesn't respond, saying she needs to stay alive to hear the answer. Meanwhile, Balthazar, secretly observing Horvath's plan, attempts to steal the Grimhold and succeeds in taking it. Unfortunately, at that time, Horvath's power was far greater than Balthazar's. Horvath brought a bull statue to life to kill Balthazar and successfully cornered him. Being powerless, Horvath intended to kill Balthazar. Luckily, Dave arrived, stopping Horvath's staff with his created weapon, thwarting the plan to kill Horvath. On the other hand, Morgana, who was almost finished reviving her followers from all over the world, failed because Becky successfully shifted the antenna signal. As a result, the magical circle created by Morgana was disrupted. Morgana then fainted, while Balthazar, who had learned the soul transfer spell, planned to sacrifice himself by transferring Morgana's soul into his body. Veronica realized this, and Balthazar gave his Grimhold to Dave, asking him to imprison him in the Grimhold. Dave refused because he didn't want Balthazar trapped in the Grimhold. Suddenly, Morgana woke up and managed to escape from Balthazar's body, attacking them. However, it turned out Dave could unleash his power without using the ring. Balthazar was amazed and acknowledged that Dave was indeed the Prime Merlinin. But when Morgana was about to kill Veronica, Balthazar came to her rescue, making himself collapse. Dave, who turned out to be immune to Morgana's attacks, intended to attack Morgana with his power. However, his attack missed and Morgana ignored him. But Dave used his power as part of another plan. Dave's power was actually to summon high-voltage cables near Morgana. Morgana told Dave that he couldn't master Merlin's power, but Dave denied it. He had united with simple scientific power, and using high-voltage electricity, he successfully cornered Morgana. Dave took this moment to destroy Morgana completely. Morgana vanished without a trace. Dave intended to tell Balthazar that he had conquered Morgana, but Veronica said that Balthazar had died. They were sad. Dave tried to revive Balthazar using Merlin's power, and it worked. Balthazar came back to life and woke up. Dave returned Balthazar's necklace to give directly to Veronica. Balthazar and Veronica then expressed their longing, while Dave went to meet Becky. Finally, Dave and Becky hugged, expressing their happiness and finding the answers they wanted. The ending of this film shows someone taking Horvath's hat. Thank you for watching. You can write down your favorite movie in the comment section.
Please support us so we can produce with better tools and with more high-quality movie recap. With click like and subscribe. Leave also a comment so we can improve in the future.